All right. So let's start the ranking. Let's put things on. Let's put things on a list. And we're gonna start with the Artificer class, which is perhaps one of the classes that I think I had the least experience with. I have my PC Roach from Lauren's one-shot, the Fashion one-shot, who he is fantastic. He's a secret agent who is just like this kind of big bug-like guy, kind of Dr. Octopus-ish, and I really loved playing him. I have not played a ton of Artificer in general, but from what I understand, it's a fun class. I feel my gut is telling me to put it in B. My gut is telling me, like, Artificer, that's good. It's not, like, one of the best. Riley coming in with the strong S to me. Here, should I... Yeah, we got people around. I'm going to pop into the on-stream voice channel. So anyone who would care to have their voice be on stream is more than welcome to hop on. It might make the background music a little bit weird. We'll figure that out, though. Artificer makes my brain hurt a little bit, but it's a fun little moment. Yeah. That's a lot of the same way that I feel. That is, like, it has so many options and so many lists to choose from, even more than just the spell list. You have, like, the magic item list. But no, we're here to have some fun and make some friends. Barbarian is also a class I've never, like, kind of played for a long time, but is just a wonderful class to multi-class into. Feels so good to have that damage while you're raging. Just the best thing. At the cost of a single bonus action? Are you kidding me? You're kidding me. Come on. So that's... But I can never see myself fully embracing a barbarian for the long term. You know? Barbarian's kind of a casual thing.
I'll embrace a barbarian any day.
Welcome, Riley. Here, let me turn down the Louis Zhang in the background. Yes, tonight's music is brought to us by the wonderful, talented Louis Zhang, who very generously lets you play music on streams if you just credit him. So.
What's that?
Yeah, I think we can hear you pretty well. Mind giving me a little bit of noise?
Hey, I'm always down to just give a lot of noise, frankly. I can also plug in my microphone if you'd like me to uphold the quality of the Will Pat Plays stream.
No, you're good. Whatever works for you. Yeah,
it's me. I'm gonna
let
Will take the wheel on this, of course, as it is his channel. But truly, Artificer got put in B, and I was like, I gotta get in there. I gotta get in the voice chat.
So where would you put Artificer at S tier?
I'd be willing to put. I feel like A is a nice, only because you know me. I love versatility in a class, and like Artificer just does it. You have spells, you have melee, you have range, you have utility. It's got all of it. But
so much.
If you want to make it a Bartificer, that's fine. You know, I'm still subbed.
Bartificer. I'm gonna keep Artificer where it is for now, and we'll have my list, and then we can rearrange things at the end with other people's, with like the community. There's fine. My list. And
you're truly a man of the people, Will.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So on my list, Barbarian would go at A. Barbarian fucking rocks. I use it all the time as like a little 2-level, 3-level dip. It's rad. Bard is next. Bard is interesting. Bard feels like the one that I should... is like the class that I thought I would like the most when I first started playing D&D. Wheel Pat Plays. And still is super fun and flavorful. But I feel like I have... And this is not like a judgment of it, but this is just a personal thing. I feel like I have kind of left Bard behind a little bit. I would love to kind of bring it back into the fold. But I haven't considered playing a Bard in a long time.
That's fair. Bard has a I wouldn't even say overhypeness to it. But people get really hype about Bard, and as such, I feel like if there's a tiny little hipster living anywhere in your heart, like there's this light instinct to be like, well, all right, let's simmer down. I feel like it's been fun for me to do like tangential bards,
Mm-hmm.
to like find like the sculptor bards, or find like the stand-up comedian bards, or
Yes.
just like that's been a fun way to add some spice to them.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think it goes, though?
Are you doing this like vibes mechanically, your heart?
I think mostly my heart, a little bit vibes. Mechanically, I'll take mechanics into consideration. Mechanically, Bard's a rough kind of class to be in. Magical Secrets is awesome. Magical Secrets is amazing. Bardic Inspiration is very fun. I love having something I can do with my bonus action, like every single
Yes.
But the spell list is not my favorite.
And I was gonna say, anytime something's a known caster instead of a prep caster,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but what if I could choose things every time? I feel like Bard could be a nice little B. I feel like I'm getting B vibes.
Like a high B.
Like a high B.
Like a high B. We'll put it a high B.
I mean, it shouldn't be higher than Artificer. Okay, it's good. You know, it's going higher than Artificer.
We're going pretty high. We're going pretty high class. B. High B, yes. B sharp. What do we got next? We got Cleric next. I love Clerics. Little raised in a Catholic school, goes to church every Sunday, loves being a man of faith.
Yeah. If you have any sort of, you know, devotion complex, boy, I would argue maybe even paladin. That's why you and I are both on the paladin train. I'm more of a paladin lady than a cleric lady, but I still do love a cleric. And there's something to be said about wizards. Like, clerics are Wizards of the Coast favorite child.
Yes,
like,
that's true.
So there's a fun thing of like, if you want versatility in terms of themes, cleric's the place to go because they'll make a subclass for anything. Like, Wizards of the Coast is like, oh, you want a new subclass? Like, cleric of barbecue now. We made one. We made like 8 dudes. It could just be anything, which is fun. It's not a bad thing. But like, it's nice because cleric is one of those classes that I feel like if you're looking to make a character concept, you'll find something for it in cleric. Whereas sometimes with the other ones, you're like, oh, I want this this character to be a druid, but none of the options are like really giving me the thing that I want.
Yeah. Clerics also have a interesting how do I phrase this? There's something I've been obsessed over that I haven't like done anything with this idea yet, but of classes where you can start at any level as like a very beginner, because the idea is I think cleric and warlock and sorcerer are kind of the three where your power is kind of
cleric
granted.
gets it at like 2nd level, right?
What's up?
Cleric gets it at 2nd level.
Domain, I think so. Yeah. But like, I like the idea that your first day being a cleric can be as a 7th level cleric, as a 10th level cleric, because your god has granted you these powers.
I see.
Yes. You see what I'm talking about? Or like when your sorcerer powers awaken, you awaken as a level 15 sorcerer. Right?
Interesting. Yes. I know what you mean.
I love that idea, which is not particularly like inherent to cleric, but is something I've been playing around with in my head for a long time.
I feel like clerics have got to be at least A.
I think so, yeah. I don't know if they would go above or below barbarian.
If you're going on pure like, because you said you couldn't see yourself really being like a full barbarian.
That's true.
But I feel like you could probably see yourself being a full cleric or multi-classing as a cleric. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And shout out to my cleric. I can never remember his name, although Obadiah.
Obadiah?
Yes, I got it. I got it right before you did.
I always a particular flavor of being Will's friend that I like is when I get to feel slightly like a secretary, um, like in a very fun way, where like Will's like, "Hi, just checking in. Which of Douglas's arm is metal?" And I'm like, "Hi, Mr. Pena. That's gonna be the left one for you. All right, you have a good one."
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love having someone else on the voice call. I feel like I'm running my own little radio show right now.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to Druid, which I believe I may be blanking on something. Has the you have a voice made for radio. Thank you, and a face too. Which I believe has the distinction for me of being the only class I don't think I have ever actually played.
Interesting.
In a long time of playing 5e.
Yeah, I played one in like a level 21 shot. So I feel like I have like a skewed perception as well, because most of the time when you're playing a druid, you're not turning into a fire elemental.
Yes.
But
Lauren is apparently fact-checking me.
Is she fact-checking you about playing a druid, or fact-checking you about having a face for radio? Because I feel like it might be... Oh, Over the Garden Wall.
Over the Garden Wall, I played a ranger. I played druid. Yeah, no, that was a Gloomstalker ranger.
Dang.
Yeah.
The fact-checker becomes the fact-checked.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I did
go
just
on,
remind
go
me
on,
that
Riley.
I played a druid for Over the Garden Wall. Druids are so, like, I've said this before, you have to have such a druid compatible character idea in order to play a druid. So much like we were saying, like I think rogue is one of those classes where you can make the character first,
Yeah.
and then be like, okay, yeah, like there's stuff in rogue that I could go with. I could even go with cleric. Like, it's so hard to just make a character and then be like, oh, I guess they could be a druid, because druid is so what it is. It's like, you are turning into animals, baby.
Yes.
That's it. And if you don't have a character concept that works with that, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? You haven't missed much. We've ranked 4 of the classes, and we're just kind of waxing poetic about the others. Yeah, I think you're totally right, and they have done a little bit with that of more recent subclasses being able
like
to
the star
use
druid.
wild shape, yeah, in other ways. Or of course, like Spores Druid and stuff like that has their like spore form, fungal form. But no, yeah, I think we're kind of clumped up in the A and B. I think Druid might be our first C.
I'd be willing to do that.
All right, I'm so sorry, like, Druid.
Also, I actually like not to momentarily become the mechanics person about this. Our friend Dom recently redesigned druids, and I like his better. Because I didn't realize that you actually, even at high levels, only ever get like 2 wild shapes. I'm pretty sure like even like it caps really fast.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting, and I feel like it's something that like doesn't like it lasts longer. But if I'm playing a druid, I think, and Dom mentioned a really, I think he mentioned it in a good way. If you saw the D&D movie, there's that chase scene that's so cool and beautifully done, where she changes like 10 different animals, and you kind of actually can't do that mechanically. So enjoy C tier, baby. Get better, do better.
I think you're right. Actually, Reggie was maybe a level or 2 of druid. I think somewhere in there. Stars, yes, stars or something. Because I chose, we had like 7 levels to divvy out, and I chose all of the classes with the lowest subclass initial, like level 1, level 2 subclasses.
I love that.
It was
I still love
fun.
that character concept so much.
Thank you very much. All right, fighter.
Wait, listen, you can just put it. You can just put it where we all know you're gonna put it.
Where
Okay.
it belongs. Where it
can just
absolutely
go
needs to be.
there.
I will not consider anything less than absolute
honestly-
S tier.
I was never here to change your mind because I love fighters.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I'm very much willing to. I feel like it's like Will's so vocal about being a fighter class or a fighter like lover.
Mhm.
I'm happy for that, but like I love fighters too, man. They're just good.
They're fantastic.
Again, talk about taking whatever character concept you have and
Yeah.
probably finding something there. Fighter's a great option for that.
Mm-hmm. I have played so many fighters. I have
Yeah.
played almost every subclass. I haven't played an arcane archer yet.
Well,
I
who
don't
has?
think.
Sorry.
Okay, so Reggie apparently was a cleric, druid, sorcerer, warlock, wizard in about
Yeah.
7 or 8 levels. It was so much fun. That was for the 80s disco one shot that Olivia ran, which was
Yes.
just a blast. I love that one shot so much.
Yeah.
What did you do at the end? You and Lauren at the end.
I gave Lauren's character
Mhm.
cocaine. Because I was playing a Midwestern drug dealer warlock named Hammy.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that was my way of bonding. Intricate rituals, if you will. I know the rituals are intricate. Also, let's be honest, Action Surge alone could get fighter
Yes.
S class. Even if you didn't
Yes.
love the theming, even if you didn't love the other stuff, Action Surge feels
Yes.
so good. There's something to be said about the fighter class feeling good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like a fun, cool one to play.
It also, in a way, I don't know how to describe this. Casters obviously have like spell lists, and so that's its own toolbox, right? But fighters, even if you're not like Battle Master, which has all of its maneuvers, which is another toolbox.
I fucking love Battle Masters.
Battle Masters,
so
I've
much,
played like
dude.
3 different ones. I think it's my favorite.
I think I also have like 2 of them because I can't help it.
The narrative strength of Second Wind is absolutely there too. Yeah, just a little moment in the middle of the battlefield, just taking a second to psych yourself up to put something on a wound, you know. Ugh.
Yeah.
But something about playing a fighter, it's the creativity within bounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about grit. It's about gumption. Makes me feel like I am working with it's like doing like charcoal or something like that. Charcoal paint.
You
Not painting,
love
but like
a
illustration.
charcoal metaphor, I
do.
must say.
I really
It's
do. But it's like a
really-
limited color palette, and you can just make so
Yeah.
many beautiful things in it.
Amen.
So,
Well, and like,
yes.
go ahead.
I think that's pretty much last thing. Shout out to the Cyanide. I think a very underrated subclass. One of my favorite
I
things I've
haven't
ever
played
played.
it.
So much.
Jake has played one.
So much.
Jake's track and field boy was a cyanide.
Gotcha.
I will also say, just very briefly, like, we watched Lord of the Rings recently.
Yes.
So now that I'm a Lord of the Rings girly, which I have to say has been a really fun era for me.
Good.
I'm like, the ring, I know about it. But we talked about this when we're talking about all those battles with like the humans, where like it's like you've got fucking elves, you've got orcs, you've got like all this crazy stuff going on. You're literally fighting like thousands of orcs that were just like birthed from the wizard placenta, and like by no means should you win against them. But you do it anyways, and like that's the fighter class. Like no matter what lineage you're playing, there's always something about like, yeah, my boy's got spells, my girl can turn into a shark or whatever. I'm gonna fucking beat you because I want to, and because I won't stop trying to.
And because I have to, right? Like
Yeah.
I am going to win because I have to. And there's like I either win or I die, right?
Yeah.
I
Is
love
anybody
it.
else looking lovingly at a picture of Douglas Provost, or is it just me right now?
All right. Moving on to the monk.
Sorry, there was a lovely Kandinsky cameo on the stream.
Ooh, yeah. Sorry. Well, I think when I switch between my windows, we get a little Kandinsky in the background.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on monks, Will?
Complicated.
Great.
So for
Same.
one thing, I love a fisticuffs fighter. I love anyone who punches.
Love to quarrel. Love to be pugnacious.
And I loved Monk for that. They're fantastic. And then they gave unarmed fighting to fighters. And then I was like, hey, why should I ever play a monk again?
Real. Well, it's kind of like, it's funny. We'll probably get to it later, but it's another reason why people are like, why should I ever play a ranger when you could just be an arcane archer? You know,
Yeah.
like it's one of those little things that happen sometimes in 5e of like the mechanics kind of get a little wonky to where you're like, hey, I can actually do this thing better somewhere else.
Yeah. Do you think, this is totally off topic, do you think 5e would be, better is a hard word to describe, more interesting if it had like 7 classes instead of 12? If maybe a couple of these guys got folded into each other?
It's quite possible. And again, like to shout out Dom, who is again really rewriting 5e,
Yes.
which is so sickening. But it's interesting because I think he kept the same amount of classes, but a lot of, I think at least 1 or 2 subclasses got folded into the main class. So instead of it being like, oh god, and I can't remember any off the top of my head, I'm just totally blanking, but like it took some really cool, interesting things about certain subclasses and just smacked them onto the main one. And there's something to be said about that with like, yeah, maybe you could just kind of either scooch. Oh dang.
Jake, hello. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to hold my tongue, Riley. Automod has restricted Sarah on the basis of sex-based terms for saying, quote, kissing them. The puritanical reign of Automod continues.
Gonna say, you have a very prudish Twitch monk. Twitch mod, sorry. It's me, the Twitch monk. If you have even a modicum of sexism in your message, I'm flurry of blowsing you.
Hello, Jake. How you doing? Sarah says, I've never played a monk, but I will say if there's a monk in a game I'm in, my character is kissing them. Proverbially and probably and factually.
And also proverbially. I feel like this is a good time to mention that I at one point put out a sexiest class poll to a selected group of people, and I think monks either won or was like second place, which I'll say right now, I'm sorry, and everybody's gonna be a little mad at me, I could not fathom.
They perhaps overperformed a little bit. They're good.
Yeah.
They're nice. Will's Automod would dress code me for showing my shoulders. I can just tell.
They are good. I guess there's something, Sydney does love monks, and we have to respect that.
Yeah.
There's something, I think for me personally, and this is completely subjective, they're not one of the classes that really, like, inspires me a lot of the time. Like, I think there are other classes on this list where the base class, or even, like, just subclasses, I look at and I'm like, oh, man, I could do this with it, I could do this with it.
That's something, Sarah. You got it.
Hey, Twitch, could we get this banned for innuendo? Could we get this...
I do. There's something there though that I still do like, and I'm almost exclusively thinking about the monk subclass that lets you get the pair of like extra arms. Okay,
that's the only monk I've ever played. So that's there's something about that one that is actually very compelling.
Fang Cheese is a kissable monk. That's true, Jake. I'll
That's
kiss
true.
Fang Cheese in a second.
Yeah, I'd also kiss Fang Cheese.
Astral Self, exactly.
Maybe we should just kiss Fang Cheese next session.
maybe that'll stop the fight that's certainly gonna kill us all.
Yeah, maybe that'll boost Monk a tier. Ultimately, it's your decision, Will.
We have the long death. I mean, on NADPOD, Caldwell's killing it as a monk right now.
Caldwell is killing it as a monk.
Doing a lot of fun stuff, but that is also part of Murph's like incredible encounter design.
So. And here's the thing: there is something to be said about like, obviously, it's like, it's not always about the numbers. I'll be the first to say, like, it's not always about how much damage you do or da-da-da-da. But there is something to be said about like, if you listen to this latest season of NADPOD.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers do sound a lot lower most of the time, and I think that's something that I even felt when I was playing at least a lower level monk. Like,
yeah,
it's not like fighter, where there's a lot of times where as a fighter you do something you fucking feel good and powerful.
Hello,
I don't
Alejandro, welcome.
Alejandro
Alejandro says,
Alejandro loves them, so we have to put them in A for Alejandro.
That's
regardless of what we said. But yeah, I don't know. They don't seem always the most like powerful to me, and that doesn't have to be a part of them, but something to be considered.
I think monks are going in B tier for me.
Interesting.
And it feels weird, despite what we have said so far in this discussion. I do think for me they go above Artificer and Bard in my personal rankings, because we've talked about them for a long time, and I think it's because I want them to be better. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to be there.
That's fair, but is she becoming better for you, Will? You want her to be better, but is she putting in the work to be a better class? I don't know.
You gotta give her a chance.
Okay. All right.
Paladin's next. Instant S tier.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, pop those bitches in there right now.
It's like I can't even choose. It's like choosing between my children.
I like how biased this next tier is, by the way.
What did Jake say? I would add one thing to the conversation, and that is the empty body ability. Ooh, is that the one where you can take an action to like get rid of fear or charm? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Empty. I'm looking it up. You can use your action to spend 4 key points to become invisible. During that time, you also have resistance to all damage, but force damage. Sorry, Douglas broke. Additionally, you can spend 8 key points to cast the astral projection spell without needing material components. When you do so, you can't take other creatures with you. That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna keep monk where it is, but that is pretty rad. I've never played a high enough monk to get there though. But yes, big shout out to Douglas, who was originally a monk, because that's how you punch things back then.
About that.
Yeah. Well, he was a funky little monk because he didn't study or train as a monk. It was kind of an Iron Fist scenario, from what I understand about Iron Fist, in that like a monk died in front of him and transferred his powers to him.
That's wild. And that monk was Albert Einstein.
All right.
Anyways, back to Paladins.
Yes. Like, just such a perfect kind of convolution. I don't know if that's the right word. Of mechanics and of story and of like flavor. It's all there.
Paladins are so inherently chock full of narrative.
Yeah.
And I love them for that.
Because the stakes are so high immediately, right? You have taken an oath. Like that's there's it's such a good setup for a character that there is you've taken an oath, and there are lines that you will not cross, question mark?
Or you should not cross.
Yes, exactly.
And something that I love too, and this is why like Paladins always kind of trump clerics for me is like conviction is such a like good and fruitful and like I don't want to say vague, but I think like flexible starting point. Like there's something to be said about clerics. Lore wise, it's a little bit more about like a god or a being or a deity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with paladins, the idea that like you believe in this thing so hard that you are gaining literal power from that conviction.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't.
I don't know. This is like the opposite of monk, right? Where it's I want it to be better so I could talk about it forever. Paladin is just there. It's exactly what I want it to be. I played a couple paladins. Shout out to Sheriff, who I will be playing tomorrow. I'm so excited about it in Riley's campaign. So good.
There's also this one goes out to Sarah in the chat.
Yes.
If you have a class that is founded upon making an oath, the fact that that game knows how much you want to break it and make like not every time, but the fact that the game is like, hey, the Oathbreaker subclass. Like, it's so good because again, it that's such a beautiful path to I was saying Oathbreaker. You talk about those stakes are so high right off the bat. It's always very interesting to play somebody processing those stakes and dealing with those stakes and then it's always so interesting to play the moment where that breaks.
Yeah.
And you're now playing a completely different story. It's so fun.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. And now we move on to Ranger.
Okay, yeah, we do.
One of the most controversial classes. Has taken a lot of flack this edition for being...
Yeah, I love how it's turning a little bit sports commentary. Rangers had a tough season, taking a lot of flack, had a lot of controversy. When the mechanics reward you for traumatizing your character. Amen.
Hard ass, yeah. Okay, Ranger.
It's hard because I actually like a lot of the Ranger subclasses, flavor-wise. Like my first Ranger I ever played was Horizon Walker, which is like just a fun one. It's very interesting about like it's about these like the veils between worlds and the idea of like, you know, gatekeeping is a weird like, word to use here, but like that's kind of the point, like guarding those or, you know, having a relationship with those. Tatiana Kozlov is a Feywild, or no, what is it? A Fey Wanderer?
Yes.
Thank you to Jake who showed me that class. It's insane. It's an insane subclass. Hi, people here have witnessed me roll 36s on like charisma checks. It's wild. Yeah. So it's like it's hard because I feel like the Ranger class has a lot of really interesting and fun subclasses.
Yeah.
It just has a really, like, not that enticing buy-in. Like, there's something to be said about you have to get there, you have to get to the subclasses, and you have to kind of care about the class enough to read the subclasses. And I feel like the base class itself doesn't have enough of a point of view, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the subclasses are better. But, like, the class itself feels a little bit like, yeah, you're Legolas. You guys watch Lord of the Rings. You're Legolas. Yeah. That's it. But it's like,
Sarah says, I feel like Ranger puts a lot of good pieces together, but any one of those pieces you can get somewhere else as well. That makes perfect sense to me. Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't feel as special and unique as other classes. I think so too. It's a little bit fighter, it's a little bit rogue, it's a little bit druid.
Yeah, that people talk about that a lot with Rangers. Like, again, and we were talking about this earlier, you can kind of be a better Ranger sometimes by not being a Ranger.
And then the original, like, favorite terrain kind of stuff is really hard to do unless you have, like, a cool DM or the setting happens to, like take place in it. It's a rough balance.
Yeah.
It's tough, and yeah, it's kind of same as what you said. I played a ranger. I think the only one I played is Andy, who was in the Over the Garden Wall one shot, who was a Gloomstalker ranger, and was a fantastic like play. And I literally, maybe it was actual multiple attacks. It was one round of combat. I took out a whole monster, and it felt so cool for me. One of my favorite moments that I will always remember. And that was a moment that made me feel like, oh, this is literally my favorite terrain. Like, I have been here forever. I understand how it works. The things that scare normal people do not scare me.
Yeah.
And I wish we could find some more of that kind of flavor in the Ranger. Ranger worked great for the Arctic campaign. That's true. Yeah, that was one where like he walked in, you knew, like, and it was partially because the setting was so inherently important to the campaign, right? The terrain and everything.
There's something to be said about Ranger being one of the more conditional classes, and it's great when you're in those conditions, and when you're not, it doesn't feel as great.
I believe that that Wizards of the Coast refers to abilities like this as Mother May I abilities, where it's like completely dependent on the DM to actually make them work.
Yeah.
And it's not just by like taking the feature, you get the stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ranger is the most Mother May I class.
Yeah. It's giving D.
Oh, I feel so bad doing that.
It's
but I
giving
think
D
you're
tier.
right. I think it's not F.
No, it's not F.
Yeah.
It's dull. Like,
all right, moving on to the Rogue.
this one's for Jake. Jake loves the Rogue.
Is Rogue Jake's guy?
That's Jake's favorite class.
Gotcha.
Unless and I've just ruined myself on national television.
I don't know. I can't think of a rogue that I've played off the top of my head, actually.
Really?
And I'm trying to think. I must have played one.
I love rogues as well, Olivia.
Rogues are fantastic. I think they're
Rogues
great.
are great.
They one, let you roll a whole bunch of die.
Yeah.
Two, let you get expertise. Like expertise as a mechanic is
The
one of my
skill economy
favorites.
on rogues is really nice.
Yes. So I think the most skills in the game, or maybe tied with Ranger, something like that. Swashbuckler and Phantom have been some of my recent favorite subclass. Is Phantom the one with the ghost? I mean, I guess that makes sense, the Danny Phantom subclass. Sarah says, I love rogues, A tier minimum. I feel like there's so much you can do with rogues, and they're so quintessential to D&D. I Phantom Rogue Kismet has a very special place in my heart. I love that. I don't think I've heard of Kismet before. That's a great D&D character name, by the way. That's fantastic.
I think Sarah said it. Like, there's so much you can do with a rogue. Again, it's one of the nice things of I tend to with D&D. John, I was talking about you earlier.
How you doing?
Talking about you and how you're rewriting D&D, and it's very cool.
Yeah, we've been talking with some of your class rewrites.
Oh.
And of course, Mallory is a rogue. That's true. That's totally true. Huh.
Dom himself is in the chat. But yeah, like there's something to be said about the way that I usually with D&D I've had to adapt to kind of like, and it's not every time. I try to start with a class first and then build a character within that, because if I don't, I'll make this cool character concept and you kind of get a little bit lost into like, all right, well, where do I put them? Like, I guess I can put them here. But Rogue is always like a nice place for that, where like you make a character and you kind of don't know where to put them. Odds are Rogue might be the place for them. And I like that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Sarah, A tier at least.
Yes, same.
I think high A tier.
High A tier.
Which is so funny again because I can't remember a rogue that I played. But we're putting them there anyway.
And again, if we're going to talk about versatility, like
yes,
utility, combat, skill stuff. A lot of people spec into charisma for rogue.
Yeah.
Spec into intelligence. Like, And again, I think there's some fun variety in the subclasses.
Mhm.
And it's very, very fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else about. Just you also get to roll a whole bunch of dice, like
Yeah.
so much, and roll with advantage a lot. Fantastic. All right, here it comes.
Ooh.
Sorcerer.
Well, so one of my favorite actual play D&D podcasts / actual plays is kind of actually all sorcerers. So, and I really just I mean, S for sorcerer, really. S for sorcerer's origin on
That's
Dice
why it starts
Operated
with an
on
S.
YouTube.
Oh, hello, is that Aaron?
It is Aaron.
Welcome. We need to separate raw sorcerer from Willpat plays sorcerer. I did
Yes.
make a couple changes to sorcerer. That's true.
That made them better because, truthfully, honest to God, not a great class as is mechanically, if we're being real. There's a lot of really fun narrative potential in there.
Yeah.
And again, there's something to be said about I love a class where you start with the subclass. That's so nice.
See you, Olivia.
But bye, Olivia.
Gotcha.
But it was not until we played an all sorcerers campaign and got into the nitty gritty of the mechanics that, like, something that we've mentioned is like almost all concentration spells. Once you start getting to those higher up ones, the spell list is really limited, which to me, there's this weird lapse in like mechanics and narrative where I'm like, you, Mr. of the Coast, are telling me that most inherently magical people. Sorcerers are the most inherently magical. And yet, they don't have their own separate... I don't think there's any unique sorcerer spells, unless I'm mistaken. There's one?
There's one. It's a Chaos Orb or a Chaos something.
Ooh, is that the one Maya does a lot?
No, that's Elemental.
Chromatic
Orb. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's the one where you roll 2d8s and one of them is the damage die and one of them is the elemental type. And if they're same, you roll it again. But I think that is the one and only spell, and it's a first level spell or something.
Like, it's one of the most limited. Like, I don't know why Wizards of the Coast doesn't love sorcerer like they should.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly, it's because of the wizard.
Yeah.
The wizard gets all of that love.
True.
Sorcerers, I love them. You know, I made the whole basis of this campaign. But no, again, mechanically they are in a real rough spot. But I love the flavor. I love, like I said before, any class where you can wake up and be just so much powerful than you were the day before.
Yeah. Well, and the subclasses are really fun. There's something to be said about, like, there's a nice, like, my first ever 5e character was a sorcerer. So it feels fun and cyclical to have Marcus, who is one of my favorite characters ever, kind of go back to that.
Yeah.
Wild Magic. We actually can't get into Wild Magic. I'll talk specifically about Wild Magic as a subclass. But yeah, and again, it's hard because, like you said, it's like to wake up as a sorcerer and to be a sorcerer, like, there's so much fun narrative potential there. And if that's what you care about, you can really run with sorcerer. It's just hard when certain aspects of the game kind of don't love that class as much as you might love that class.
Yeah. Where are we putting it? High C, low B?
Oh, you're nicer than I am.
Oh, really? What are you?
You're nicer than I was thinking C to D tier. Like, if we're gonna talk about, because again, something that has made the sorcerer so viable is you, Mr. Pat Plays, saying, no, it's a Constitution caster now.
Yep.
That completely changes sorcerer as a class, where even if you're like magically limited and stuff like that, you're at least like, you're tankier. That's something you have over those dumb little wizards. Like, they might have all the spells in the world. Somebody kicks them, they're dead.
The part that makes me think that sorcerer needs like at least minimum C is I really like Draconic Bloodline. Like my first
Oh,
guy
do you?
ever in D&D was Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer. We know this.
Same. Actually, same.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's got such a good place in my heart. You can fly at 14th level. Like I don't know.
It's cool.
Like
A lot of the 14th
I
level
agree with all of those. Yeah, I agree with all of the sorcerer slander. But when I look at like Subaru, I'm like, oh, but he's my boy. That's my baby.
That's not Marcus Prosperous. This is
Exactly.
about King. We're not putting Marcus Prosperous on the C level of this, tier list. But
Yeah. Well, for me, it's specifically like this subclass. Like I like
That's
the
though, is it the
the
subclasses
narrative
are great.
and the gameplay of so many of those, especially Wild Magic. Like I fell in love with Wild Magic because of Marcus.
Hi, Laurel. How you doing?
Laurel.
Laurel.
Yeah, sorcerer gets points for letting you fly. I think
Thank
you.
low C is no, it's
Yeah.
above Druid actually for me.
Fair.
This is my list. It's above Druid.
I would personally put Sorcerer above Druid as well.
Same. I would as well.
If it were like a me list, I'd be like low B. I feel like the way the Willpat plays Sorcerer, I would put like AS. But like
Oh wow.
I really like the moment I heard, it was a long time ago obviously, that like you had made them Constitution casters. I was like, his mind, his brain.
I'm so excited to hear where other people would put other things at the end. But we got two more classes first. We got the Warlock.
Oh, of course, my bad.
Next. No, you're good. Oh, I was talking to Laurel in the chat. I just want to hear everyone's opinions. Warlock next. I love
Yeah.
Warlock.
Oh, Warlock.
I'm a warlock. Amen, Dom.
I love Vin saying anything like that. Just saying, oh blank. Like, I'm like, yeah, F it up.
What are your
Look.
thoughts, Will? This is your stream. Start us
Yeah.
off, King.
All right, I'll start us off.
My
I
liege.
love the flavor. I think the flavor is up there with Paladin for
Real.
Yes.
starting
Yeah,
with a
big time.
strong hook right to a character.
It's a great phrase for
Agreed.
I think that I'm gonna forget something. What the non-spells, but the things you can get, right? Like
The invocation.
Invocation.
Those are so
Invocations.
Yeah.
smoochable.
wonderful, but also like maybe one of the widest range of effects in 5e.
Yeah, true.
Like there are some that are great and there are some that are bad. Uh,
Yeah.
Jake says that he just simply loves to Eldritch Blast a B word.
Hey, avoiding that Twitch mod, Jake. Very nice.
Yes, exactly. The built-in narrative. Listen, short rest, only like 3 spell slots. I can't defend that. There's nothing I can do there.
Yeah. There's
But the
Yeah.
story, the invocations, all the different weird builds you can do with them, they got a place in my heart.
true. And I mean,
open the
again,
floor.
that patron, the patron is so good. I always love, again, there's something that's so nice about like something about a class that is specific enough to be interesting, but flexible enough to be used in so many different ways. There's so many different things to have that patron be.
Mhm.
I had a very stupid character. His name was L'Ariel with like 4 apostrophes. His patron was technically like his great grandmother or something, because she like ended up being this like very like low level deity or something. That's in Dom's campaign. You can do a warlock who like the relationship with the patron is like really hostile. It's like, antagonistic.
Yeah.
You can be in love with your patron. Like, I really love all the different ways that you can interpret that.
Sarah says, the one time I played a Warlock, I enjoyed it so incredibly much, but I truly only needed it to do 2 things, and it did them. Truly, 6 Fighter, 4 Warlock is maybe my favorite build I've ever played from a mechanics standpoint. That's fair.
That kind of brings me into my very, like, what I will say pro about Warlocks, because I have some things against Warlocks. It's a great multi-class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal multi-class. And again, you get to 2nd level, you get those invocations. Mwah. It's a fantastic molt. I've now molted into Warlock quite a few times.
Laurel brings up a great point that Warlocks get major points from a DM perspective, not just player.
True.
we have been coming from a very big player's perspective on this list, but all of the same points we made about like hooks, doubly so as a DM.
Don't say Riley Molting, Laurel. Don't.
Same thing as Ranger to me. I think it's a great ingredient, but it's not the whole meal. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Dom, I'm
anything else?
interested. I do want to hear a Dom point.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of pure mechanical flexibility, no other class comes even close to Warlock. You've got the Patron, obviously. You've got the various invocations which you've gone on about, and then you also have the Pact Boons, which,
Oh,
Yes.
true.
Oh, great point.
Yeah.
yeah, that
I mean,
those are
I love summoning away.
defining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. And then
It's hard. Yeah.
A pretty
Go.
wide range of subclasses too, or maybe just Hexblade.
Hexblade should have been built into Pact of the Blade.
Yeah.
Probably
that's
right.
fair. My aforementioned drug dealer Warlock was a Hexblade. Yeah, I think Sarah said it in a way that I agree with. Is a great ingredient, not the whole meal. I can never play a full Warlock. It just doesn't satisfy my D&D tummy, frankly.
Mhm.
Ah,
All
Good,
right.
good point from Jake on the
I get it.
similar to Pathfinder.
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's-
Just the many, there's so many choices you can make in a Warlock.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm feeling a B because I was gonna say C, but it like on its own, I do think it's like I don't know. C doesn't feel right because you can do so much with it. And if we're gonna put Barbarian high for being a great multi-class, I
Mhm.
feel like Warlock should be at least a B for being a great multi-class.
Alejandro says, I just switched my Kenku Bard into a 9th level Warlock, and narratively,
Woo!
it's such a fun time and cool time. Switching from like 11 spell slots to 2 is such a rough mindset to reset
Oh
to.
god,
Oh,
you're
that's
so great
hard.
for that, Alejandro.
Yeah, I think B is a great spot for Warlock. I am personally going to put it at high B, but again, at the end of all this, we can shuffle some stuff around for the community ranking. And finally, we have the Wizard, the titular Wizards of the Coast.
The titular Wizards of the Coast. This is the class I've played the absolute least.
Really?
I love
One
Wizard.
of them.
I love Wizard so much.
oh no, Aaron. Oh no. Abjuration Wizard is the only one I can stand.
That's so dumb.
so
That's
squishy.
so
Wait, which one is
dumb.
the only one you can stand?
Abjuration. Wizard's just squishy. Like
Wizards are so squishy, but that's why I love multi-classing them. Like for me, I said it when I said it to Sarah. To me, so much of how I feel about every D&D class is how I feel about them in the multi-classing context, and I feel like that like completely taints my worldview of this
Yeah.
game.
You're like, my wizard is strong.
My wizard is my Lem is tanky, therefore wizards must be tanky, right? Like, no, that's not true. That's but the main reason I love wizards is not even just because of Lem. It's because of like the wide pool they have access to. There's just so much you can do with them.
Yeah.
Like it's like Will said, like the amount of love Wizards of the Coast gave to this to the spell list of wizard
Mhm.
Yeah.
like is what that's my favorite part of
I want
RPGs is
Zilly
like openness.
so bad, and there's no reason I shouldn't have it, frankly, as a sorcerer. So, yeah.
God, I want the sorcerer spell list to be revamped so bad. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
my input is that I really like wizard, but I respect everyone's opinions, and you're all so smart, and I love you, and you've been
And
playing the
charm
game
of this
longer.
conversation.
It's wonderful. I'm very happy right now.
Oh rats! I was gonna say something. I'm not true, Laurel. I'm glad.
I'm pro South
Laurel
Fragile
says
Wizard. It means
yeah.
I can be so dramatic.
True. God. Oh my God. Wait. Val is a wizard. You're gonna die so often, and as your bodyguard, I'm gonna have to pick up your corpse like every time, and like we're almost gonna kiss, but then we won't. Something that because I don't even know. I'm having to process in real time how I feel about wizards and where to put them.
Mhm.
But I will say something in their favor is we've talked about narrative with other classes,
Yeah.
and I will say funnily enough, I feel like oftentimes fighters and wizards get put on the opposite ends of the class spectrum, but
Yeah.
there's kind of something to be said about both of them having this determination to me. I
Mhm.
like the narrative with wizards that is like, you didn't, your great grandma didn't sleep with a dragon. You didn't get thrown into a vat of radioactive patron juice. You didn't make a deal.
Yeah.
You sat down. You wanted magic for whatever reason, and you got it. You
Mhm.
worked to get it. There's something that I do really like about that, and the thing that this is a class that had to work for what it has. And maybe a fighter and a wizard should kiss about it, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe they should.
Okay.
But that is kind of my pro wizard narrative,
Mhm.
is that I think that's an aspect that you can really play with in a lot of ways, and it's a flavor thing that I really like, that I
Yeah.
don't think amen, Laurel. But yeah, that's my wizard.
Okay, but here's the crux of the issue for me, is that the second the wizard's spellbook, anything happens to it, it gets wet, it gets taken, it gets lost, they're screwed. They lose all of that
But if
progress
that
they
happened
worked
to me in a
for.
campaign, I'd simply ignore it. The deal
I mean,
would be your spellbook's gone, you can't do anything, and I'd be like, that's so weird. I'm gonna cast Prismatic Wall.
But
I
you
gotta
know
say,
me,
Dom,
I am.
that's awesome to me. I love that. Because I am a glutton for punishment as a player. I love nothing more than to get fucked over. Right? And
I mean,
I'm so glad we're playing Cowboys tomorrow.
Stop it, no.
But continue.
But yeah, and the wizard spellbook is such a great narrative device for that. One, because like what you said about the stealing and stuff like that. Two, there's always so many great ideas for what a spellbook can be, right? Like tattoos.
That's true.
I think one of the examples they use in the book that I've never seen anyone actually do, but it's so cool to me, is like discs on a rope. Like you keep it on your side, and each disc is a different
Nice.
spell. So cool. And the we've talked about so many narrative mechanical overlaps. The idea of finding spells written down in the world and copying them
True.
into your spellbook, awesome, love it.
Yeah.
Back to you, Dom.
Yeah,
Back
no,
to you.
Look, I love consequences. You guys know I'm a slut for world building.
Yes. We all know
I
both.
like my world to be immersive, and taking a wizard spellbook is about as grounded as.
Oh,
Did Dom cut out?
Wizards of the Coast just sniped this man. Wizards, Mr. of the Coast
no.
said, "Take the shot."
Hello?
You're
Yes.
back, you're back, yeah.
Back.
I'm back.
Corrected. Revivify.
Yes. Consequences. I love them.
Mhm.
But it's devastating because as for wizards, I do like it. That I love that they can learn spells and find scrolls and collect just a vast repertoire of knowledge.
Mhm.
I mean, that's their shtick. But good lord, replacing that spellbook hurts.
Replacing it, yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. You still get all the stuff you have prepared, right? Like, you still have all of the spells that you would know that day, the day that your spellbook was taken,
That's so funny.
which puts
Getting
you
locked into 8 spider climbs.
on the level of sorcerer. Like, the worst
Yeah.
case scenario for
Yeah.
wizards is to become a sorcerer for a little
And
while.
that's the Wizards of the Coast to be like, the worst thing that could happen to a wizard is they
Yeah.
become the icky class.
The thing that gets me
That
is
is a
that
good point.
they do have a feature built in where they can copy the spellbook in its entirety, right? Like a backup
we
disc,
do.
basically.
Scribes subclass.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. There's something to be said about, you're, they shouldn't be, in my opinion, they're not going to be lower than a B, probably, just because
No.
of those spells and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think anybody in this particular Discord voice call right now is in love with them the way that Will and I hit the S button on Paladin, immediately.
Also, real fast, a wizard that has like spare spell books stored around the world in little like safe houses.
Stop.
That just
Classic.
sounds like so much fun.
Aw. Guys, I want to play D&D so bad. Can we just do it like right now?
The four of us.
Pick up D&D.
Hi,
Bet.
can everybody roll initiative for me, please?
Hey, can we
I'm
play
gonna
D&D
put-
horse real quick?
I'm gonna put wizard in A for sure.
Okay, fair.
Awesome. Awesome.
That
Okay.
one.
I
Okay,
don't know
awesome.
where it goes in A.
I like all of the classes in A a lot, so I don't know either.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm liking barbarian the more that it's up in there in A. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like now that I
Yeah.
see it next to like cleric and wizard and rogue, I'm like, yeah, barbarian kind of fuck shit up. Is
Yeah.
how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really like barbarian and cleric.
I think I'm gonna leave A as it is.
I think that's
Right.
fine. Yeah.
All right, so this is my tier list of all the classes in
I've
5e.
already screenshotted it and sent it in to the people.
Fantastic. All right then, I lean back. I have at it. If anyone wants to make any changes, if anyone feels strongly enough, go for it.
Oh,
just,
no.
just let me know. I'll move them around a little bit.
Move that cleric to S tier.
Yeah, I like the idea that this is like a speed game. Like, this is the lightning round. It's like, nobody explain. Just tell Will where to move
Do
it,
it,
and
exactly,
it will
yeah.
get moved. Put
Move
Artificer in A.
Bard.
Artificer in A.
Yeah.
Where's
Get
Bard?
that Bard up to A tier too.
Bard's up in A.
It'd be so funny if I was just like, all that fighter stuff I was talking about earlier, that was a lie. Get that shit into F tier right now.
I can't even do it. I couldn't. I feel bad now. Ranger to
Oh,
F.
God.
Sticky with the Ranger
Poor-
to F.
Poor
He
Ranger.
said F for Fig and F for fail.
Ranger, bad classes.
See, I can't even defend Ranger because every time I start to defend a class, I'm like, but guys, have you ever multi-classed Ranger with Bard? I'm like,
What do you got to say on
I'm all
Barbarian,
in S
Laurel?
tier. I love Dungeons and Dragons.
What's up with Barbarian? You said it's so high up. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to you?
You make the call on Barbarian right now.
They're thinking.
They're thinking,
They're cooking.
everybody be quiet. We don't want to scare them away.
I'm just never like. Okay,
Oh my god.
that's very similar to what I said before, and but the reason, but I'm trying to collect myself. But a barbarian multi-class is so good, and maybe I am biased as Douglas Patalis,
Which you should be.
but it's so much fun to go into a rage. Oh, again, we didn't touch enough on the like flavorful mechanics of rage.
I was literally just about to bring up that, like, that's
That's why
what
I like
makes
it.
me excited about a barbarian concept is what is that rage and what motivates it.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the core kind of narrative question to me for barbarians, and like the way that you can, yeah, exactly. The
Yes.
moonshine barb multi-class is like, why is this person going into a rage? What does that rage mean? If I would like to, I'm going to once again shout out our dear friend Douglas and Will, and Will playing Douglas so beautifully. Is you once described Douglas's rage as, like, for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, Douglas's rage is like getting into the zone,
Mhm.
like going into the fucking zone.
Yeah.
And I love that. That was such an interesting way to interpret it. And it makes that one time in the
Mhm.
hallway where you say, this isn't that, this is pure, genuine, capital R rage. He's furious. It makes it delicious. Like, let's be honest, anger as a storytelling device, as an emotion, like, that's always going to breed really great stories to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no multi-class considered would be, because again, this was like my personal list, just kind of based on vibes, just kind of how I feel about the classes. But yeah, no multi-class would be very interesting to check out. Aaron says my personal tier list would just be all the classes and S for sexy, because I'm like, oh gee, but like I saw this one multi-class build one time. You
Yeah.
have Coffee Lock.
That's how I be because I watch a lot of Tulok the Barbarian, so I've seen so many builds in this
Got
game,
it.
and I'm like, oh my god, but have you guys seen this one build? Here, let me send it to you on YouTube.
All right, that's awesome. So apparently, so I think this is our community.
The community
list.
tier list, the gaping canyon between C and F. The ga-
Dom says ancestral barbarian being possessed by the spirits of their ancestors.
Ooh.
Radical, yeah. Laurel says, in the end, when anyone ever tells me I'm playing class for this game, then I go, hell yeah, no matter what it is. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
makes
that's
you
a good
excited.
note to end on.
Yeah, absolutely. We are like the S to F tier is like if it's even a thing, it is a very close margin of just they're all very fun to play because it's fun to play D&D together.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to do it tomorrow.
And especially like when you're playing with friends who are as cool as sickening as ours, like somebody's gonna pull up with a sick ass ranger. Yana, like look at her, like look at like Ristretto Macchiato McBean. Like there's always gonna be classes. Like
yeah.
I'm big feeling it on the like cool friends thing because me who hasn't played technically since 2014 but been interested the whole time, I felt so like welcomed and honored that I was like so welcome in this circle of TTRPG players. Like, yeah, come on, you're at our table, bud. I'm at the big boy table with you, Captain America, and you, Iron Man. Me, Deku. Me.
yeah, okay, oh, wow, also represent.
Thank
Hell
you,
yeah.
Aaron. All right.